What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Night Off. I am Alex. I am joined by my two best friends and co-hosts, Walsh and Derek. Walsh, how you doing tonight?
Doing good.
Yeah,
Doing
Derek?
good. How you
Yeah,
Still
doing?
going.
yeah, doing pretty good. Last time we were all together, we were hanging out, talking our history of wrestling. Our sort of familiarity with it when we were kids, little bit of where we're at now. I wanted to jump back into kind of where we left off with where we separated from following wrestling in general, and I wanted to pick us up where we got back into it, sort of like what drew us back into it over time. Now, I know, Walsh, you're kind of always somewhat tangentially familiar with what's going on with wrestling, just with the people around you.
Yep, that is. I am surrounded by people who know way more on the subject than me and are like, yeah, but we're going to watch it. Like, all right, you're going to have to explain what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. And Derek, you're a bit more like me, where you were completely unaware of what was going on. I think I came back in quite a bit earlier than you did, but still, like, we're in that same wheelhouse of, like, we lost complete interest for a while there, and then we're just starting to get back into it in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I dropped off, like I said last time, during the right after the Benoit incident, and it really wasn't until you had me watch AEW where I decided to kind of start watching wrestling again because it reinvigorated my joy of wrestling.
Yeah, that was All Out 2021, I want to say, was the pay-per-view where I was like, you were coming over to my house anyway. I was just like, Derek, you need to sit down. I need you to help me out here and watch this because I think I want to watch wrestling again because wrestling's cool.
I specifically remember like Young Bucks was an immediate standout for me. Chris Jericho, obviously.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy, another one. I mean, there's just so many on the roster, especially back at that time. It was just immediate draw,
It was a immediate draw, and I think specifically like the Bucks, that was their cage match against the Lucha Brothers on that pay-per-view. And that was just
It was.
like, some next level violence.
It was insane. I mean, you had I believe that was the amazing kicks that had tax in it,
Yeah.
and that split open.
believe it
What's
was
his? I'm
Penta.
sorry. It split open his face.
It was either Penta or Ray Phoenix, one of the two. We've got two
It was
options
one of the
there.
two.
We got 50-50 shot of getting it right.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just an amazing match.
Yeah, it really, I think that's what kind of cemented it for me, was just like being pulled back in. So like what I remember about falling into wrestling, like during its peak, during like the Attitude Era, like the high times, so to speak, of when it was at its like most powerful. But I think that also like kind of drew me into watching it on a regular basis again. Because like in the in-between time, like I heard about things here or there, like checked out a couple of things when they made circulation around the internet. Because there was some time in like the late 2010s where Matt Hardy was making noise on the internet with his broken Matt Hardy character, which we'll revisit at some point in the future of like his TNA run, because it's just the most bizarre Matt Hardy I think I've ever seen, with his broken, fragmented way of speaking. His choice of words, his vocabulary is so bizarre, and he has like all these skits on the Family Hardy compound that are just so weird. It's almost avant-garde how bizarre it is, and somehow it's related to wrestling.
Yeah, it was kind of wild to watch some of that. I almost thought it was like a mental breakdown at first, before I realized it was just a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he was selling the idea of he was actually mentally fragmented, which, I'm all for. It was creative. I mean,
It was.
I wouldn't say it was like peak creativity by any means, but I wouldn't say it's really something that you would want to put on like your acting reel, but it was interesting. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's kind of like the
Well, it made you
Hardys
hungry
about-
for his. I was gonna say it makes you hungry to see his brother
Yeah,
in it as well. Like it was just wild.
yeah, and like that, the Hardys have always been those guys who are like they're very talented, or they're talented as long as their bodies cooperate with them.
True.
Because they've
True.
beaten the crap out of themselves so much over the years. But they've always had like this strange creativity about them. Like Matt's character in TNA when he was Willow, which is another thing I'm going to have to add to the list, because if you're not familiar with it, it's bad. It's just bad. Like, we're talking like B movie, like not quite like a serial killer type of like slasher film. It's just like it's a college art student's idea of like a character, in my opinion. It's weird. It's him at his most weird. It's so hard to describe and put into words without seeing it, because he's got this mask, this makeup. The way he says his own name is disturbing. And it doesn't get over with the crowd really at all. And it even has he got a custom championship belt made for the character too. And
I mean, you got to go all out.
yeah, I think it wrapped up with somebody else wearing the gimmick gear, multiple people, and attacking himself. It's very confusing. There's
What?
he was getting into multiverse stuff way before Marvel's MCU ever was.
That's amazing. Yeah, we'll have to watch that then.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, those were really kind of like the things that kind of picked up my attention, in the in-between years, so to speak. Because if you go to WWE, John Cena was everywhere for a long period of time, just from, I would say, his work outside of WWE. You heard about the Make-A-Wish stuff for years about him, just donating all of his time, breaking records with, poor, sick kids. But I don't remember about hearing, any WrestleManias in that time period. So to speak, Dark Ages, after they went PG.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the legends during that time were all really focusing on their acting careers.
Yeah.
So you're seeing many of them pursue different projects. I mean, I think during that time, wasn't Brock Lesnar in MMA during that time in the UFC?
Yeah, I think he
So.
was, at least during some point in there, he was a UFC championship winner, and he carried that belt too.
And I think CM Punk was also in MMA during that time, shortly.
Yeah, that was, I want to say, sometime after 2014. Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, so I mean, this was a time where I think people were trying new projects out. There was kind of a lull point going on overall. You're coming off of the time where a lot of the women wrestlers were more models than wrestlers.
Yeah, that was prime Divas era. Where they were they weren't allowed to be as raunchy anymore like they were in the late 90s, early 2000s. They couldn't figure out what they were going to do with them. But that did lead to them having that reality show, on what I think it was on E. Literally just divas, I think.
It was just a different spot for it to have their divas still, basically.
Yeah, which I am not too proud to say I have watched all of that show, I think. It's trash reality TV, dude. It really is. But highlights have got to be just the work shoot aspect of what was happening on the show, because they were still maintaining kayfabe on the show as far as storylines and things like that. And
Oh, that's awesome.
it was also great because you got to see behind the scenes stuff with Cena, Danielson, the now known John Moxley, but then known Dean Ambrose, just being the coolest bastard on the planet.
Yeah, I love Moxley.
You can't not love Moxley. He's got authenticity to him that I really can't like overstate how much it connects the audience to him. He's got a way about him. I really appreciate it.
Well, and I think also WWE realized that they really could make money off of movies, having their stars in movies. Because I mean, granted, John Cena only did one of those Marine movies, but that was like the one that sold and actually made some money.
Yeah,
that movie was ridiculous.
Which, if you know the backstory about that, a little bit of why he's the Marine, it's because it was originally going to be Randy Orton, but because Randy went AWOL when he was actually a Marine, they pulled him from the movie.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's part of Randy's history. Before he was a wrestler, he was in the Marines for a very short period of time, and then he just said, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore, and they, dishonorably discharged him.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's wild.
Mm-hmm. And then I think after the first Marine, that was taken over by The Miz, and he's been the star of like the 6 after that.
I was going to say, I've never seen anyone past the first, so...
They made sequels to that?
Yes, they've made many sequels.
Oh.
Now, if you're not aware, Mike, WWE makes tons of movies. They are like what you find in the Walmart bin when you're getting close to the checkout, primarily. Now I'm sure they're on like some, other streaming services, around the world, but like... The Marine, there was something that Kane did forever ago that they tried to tie into a storyline.
Where he was a serial killer or whatever from hell.
Yeah, See No Evil, that's what it was called.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, he was in that. There's so many of them. One of the better ones that I've seen, though, is Fighting With My Family, which is...
Oh. I have seen that.
Yeah, it's got Nick Frost in it. It's got what's her name, Florence Pugh. Basically, she's.
Yeah.
They're doing like the life story of Paige, now known as Saraya.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's actually entertaining. It's it's a little bit glossied up reality, but whatever. That's what you expect with a movie.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, they've done. I don't know how many movies, and I'm just gonna do a quick Google search, and I'm sure there's you can just scroll forever here probably because they've been making them since 2000. Yeah, 2003 ish. I don't know. This is just The Rock.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
okay. So Scorpion King kicked it off in 2002.
Oh, that CG was so bad.
Yeah, it was. Oh God. Although,
I remember
it was awful.
Like, no, this is barely acting. Like they got this guy. No wonder they got a wrestler for this because there's no acting involved in it. And then you go on to see I don't know. I think the next one I saw with The Rock in it was The Rundown.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, holy shit, he's really good.
That was just a year later.
Uh-huh. But
honestly,
this is horrible CG, and my brain connected it to the actor. I was like, this guy's not going to work out as an actor. Oh, wait, no. He was just put in a really bad spot of, hey, we need you to do this, but we've got this Packard Bell 93 in the garage we're going to use to make you look like a Scorpion King.
You know what? I think at that point in time, he didn't care. He was just happy to be getting a big kind of red carpet role that he could be, and add to his resume.
It got his name in acting, and he's done well since. He's great at it.
And I don't even remember if he spoke in that movie, his own movie.
I don't know.
But didn't it? It's been a while, audience, since I've seen it, but I could have sworn it was all Conan style, where he didn't talk.
I think you're right.
Yeah. 'Cause at least it wasn't like old school Arnold Schwarzenegger Hercules in New York, where they just completely dubbed over all of his lines
Right.
with somebody
But like,
else.
I want to say it was the Rundown or whatever that other one was where he's in the jungle and Christopher Walken's in it.
That's the rundown.
That's
Oh, is that the Rundown?
Yeah.
Whatever the other one is, then I don't
Walking
know. They're both
Tall.
very
The one
similar.
where he just
Walking
uses
Tall.
it's the remake, and he just uses like a 2x4 as a weapon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which also was not that bad of a movie overall. Not good, but not bad.
Same time.
But it was kind
period.
of surprising.
Yeah, that came out like a year after the other one.
Honestly, it just kind of proved that The Rock could be put into a role with voice lines and actually pull it off amazingly.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy makes bank now on movies. Sure, occasionally he'll drop back in with like a WWE run. He'll make an appearance here and there when he needs a paycheck, or the actors.
Yeah, keep the contract going. Yeah, well, because doesn't it like 6 matches a year he has to do?
I don't think they have him on anywhere nearly nothing that constricting. I think he is on like a per appearance deal where like he's got nothing going on, and they want him for like say a WrestleMania or something like that. They'll just bring a truckload of money to his house for that one thing, and then he'll make like 2 or 3 appearances to kind of tease it up, if that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, as long as they're bringing the dump truck of money, it's easy to do then. But
yeah,
because I know with some of the legends they have to do like so many matches in a year or in like a certain year window.
Yeah, like I'm not sure what Lesnar's contract is now, but he's another one where he just kind of like dictates his schedule. He's like, I'm working these days, and I'll like show up in between to make a feud or something happen, or to build up the show. But that's it,
Yeah, like a promo cut or something.
And you know what? He's earned it, in my opinion. I know a lot of people give Brock shit for being like a part-timer, but he's put in the years. He's put in the time. He can work like a son of a bitch. Like, Brock is one of those guys that is not only like naturally gifted, but he put in the work. Like, he understood how he understands the game, and he understands like I gotta get paid, and good for him.
Yeah, he's one of those that surprised me. I watched a video recently of his younger days, early on days, and he was doing salts off the top rope like it was nothing back then.
Oh yeah,
and not only doing it, but like going halfway across the ring or more.
Yeah, he could do a shooting star press from the top rope, like clear an entire ring like it was nothing.
Like it was nothing.
Yeah, he is not human, in my opinion. He is something else entirely. And
like he looks like when he's going through the air, like he's like the size of Wolverine or something flying through. It's gnarly to see. You shouldn't like you expect him to go up and straight down, but he goes up and then out. And then there's like a slight hang time, and then down. It's insane.
Yeah, a guy his size shouldn't be able to move like that, but he can. And I'm all for it. Like, that's something that you almost never get to see ever. And when somebody can do it, and they bust it out, it's amazing.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he's really talented.
Yeah.
He doesn't show off all the skills that he has because he doesn't need to anymore.
He doesn't need to, and also I think there was a shooting star press he did one time where he landed wrong. I think he landed on like the top of his head almost, and they were pretty much like, "Hey, no, Brock, no, we can't have that happen. We need you to keep."
Oh, I think I remember that. That was on SmackDown, I think.
I want to say it was like maybe against like somebody like Kurt Angle or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. That was when they were first bringing him out as like almost like a Rampage Jackson type, but for WWE.
Yeah, an unstoppable killing machine, because that's what he is.
Oh man, I remember his debut. Everybody hated him. He played the heel so well.
Yeah, I mean, he can do everything really well. Like, not enough people give Brock credit, but he's got some comedy chops. Like,
Yeah.
when he had the Money in the Bank contract and he was the like Brock Party and using it like a boombox, dancing, like nobody expected that, but it's amazing. The what was it, like Heath Slater came out like talking about like he was doing his gimmick of like he's a dad and he's got to feed his kids, that's why he's got to wrestle, and Brock just like under his breath he goes, I don't give a shit about your kids. Like he's got the chops. He's got the comedic chops. He's a monster, so he's terrifying. There's no downside to Brock Lesnar in like almost any program. As long as they utilize him correctly, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's one of those we're gonna have to do like a full highlight spot on. Seriously.
Oh, I'm all
he's
for
had
it.
quite the career. He's had quite the career.
I mean,
not just in WWE, but in general.
And yeah, UFC was a monster there too. Like you cannot like underestimate the sheer size, the power, and unfortunately the guy also has a lot of other stuff we can cover outside the ring because he's got a short fucking fuse. He's been known for some angry outbursts, you know, whether or not they're justified, that's up to interpretation. But let me tell you something. If I see Brock Lesnar coming my way and he looks pissed off, I'm not standing in his way.
Yeah, honestly.
I'll cross the street. I can walk over there. It's fine.
He's one of those guys where if you're like in the airport, you don't go up to him when he's like walking to his flight or whatever with his family and say, "Hey, can we do a picture?" You just give him the cool guy nod, just like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And you keep walking by, just like, "Hey, I recognize you." And you keep going by because he'll probably give you the nod back. He might just keep going, but you're not going to piss him off.
Yeah, you're not going to sneak up on him and try and surprise him.
Exactly.
Just jump on his back. Surprise! Guess who?
Oh my god. Well, if you jump in the right spot, he'll never be able to grab you. He'd have to smash you against the wall.
And he would.
Yeah, that's much better.
He's got to get in the right spot. He wouldn't be able to reach his arms behind.
To be fair, I don't think I have the wingspan to reach around and grab him either. It'd be like
Just grab
Shadows
one
of
of
the
his-
Colossus.
He's got to grab one of his shoulder blades. There's enough muscle around there where you can probably grab it like a rock on a rock climbing wall.
Yeah, all he has to do is be like, guess let gravity take over and fall straight back.
Put you out of
that'd be
misery.
awesome.
Like, what happened to him? Yeah, gravity. It's fine.
Brock's up there as probably one of the all-time greats, and if anybody could realistically have broken the Undertaker streak, it was him, and I'm glad they went with him in the long run. Like, at the time, yeah, you could have, like, given it to somebody else who, like, needed the boost to their career, but I don't think there was anybody that could legitimately have broken the Undertaker streak like Brock. Like, I don't think you could believe somebody else doing it.
No, honestly, like some of the moves that he can do is you would think it's like sheer strength, but it's really not. Like the dude is just stable, stable on his feet.
Let me ask the dumb question.
Yeah.
What streak?
Okay. All right. So this sort of thing became, kind of the streak happened by accident, pretty much, with The Undertaker. Essentially, they realized after a couple of WrestleManias that he was in that he was undefeated. And as the years went on, they would put, Undertaker match on the WrestleMania card, and they would just keep adding to the number of him being undefeated at WrestleMania until, let me check what year here real quick, but it was Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker, and Brock was the first person to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. What's the actual number here?
I think it was 21.
Yeah. The 21st one was against CM Punk.
Oh, okay. Was it 22 then?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, 22. It was Brock. October 23rd. Yeah, 2014 was the WrestleMania? Yeah.
It was 2014 where the streak ended?
I think it was either 2014 or 2015.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely didn't watch a whole lot during that time, but I do remember all the hype around the streak ending.
Yeah,
A lot.
WrestleMania
And
30.
I've watched stuff after the fact, but yeah.
Yeah, WrestleMania 30. Yeah, and actually, after that, he still had like a couple more matches at WrestleMania. He had one against Bray Wyatt, Shane McMahon, Roman, Cena, AJ Styles. The AJ Styles one is interesting because that was like a pre-recorded one, and they did like kind of like a cinematic match. But that was partially because of, Undertaker's getting old. He can't move like he used to anymore, and he didn't want to sort of put on another like sad show in front of a live crowd again. But you got to hide the downsides to when you get up in the age.
Well, I mean, Undertaker himself said, like, how many of my matches during the streak were awful matches? You only remember some of the ones near the end, mainly, because that's where they got good overall.
I mean, any of the ones with Shawn Michaels were amazing because, like, him and Shawn Michaels is so fucking good. Like, he could put on a match with a broom, as the old saying goes, but it's Shawn Michaels. I mean, sure, the guy's a prick and an asshole and, for a period of time, a horrible human being, but he could wrestle. Like, he could put on a great show no matter what.
Yeah, he came back in 2018, I think. He tried to do a comeback where they did the whole DX versus Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah, that was at Crown Jewel, I want to say, that they did that match.
I think you're right.
Oh my God, we're going to revisit that match because that is so sad. It's just four old men like, on the verge of getting a concussion every 2 seconds and being just winded.
This is like literally the sequel to Grumpy Old Men if they were all wrestlers. Like, it's depressing and sad. You see, they brought Shawn Michaels out of his grave or something, out of his old folks' home. No more hair on his head. He just looks like a grumpy old fucking man. And, like, immediately right off the bat, he can't sell anything. He goes after Kane, knocks Kane's mask off. The match was awful. The match was just awful.
I think
it was depressing.
I think that was the first Saudi show that they actually did.
I think you're right, and I do remember the camera panning over the audience at one point, and people looked sad that this was happening before them. Like, it was depressing for people that were literally there, not just the people having to watch it at home.
Yeah, well, because I don't know exactly what the sort of like expectation in the crowd was, but they wanted to see like their all-time favorites, and instead they got these four old men who are no longer in even like basic wrestling condition, much less the prime of their career condition, just hurting themselves. And it makes me happy that they're all still healthy and alive right now, except for Kane, because he's turned into a garbage person.
Yeah, he kind of went down the fascist pipeline real hard.
Yeah, and Undertaker, unfortunately, has always been kind of a prick,
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I respect the man a lot, though.
Yeah.
I don't feel like overall he's someone that you could sit there and say he's like on Kane's level of awful. Like, he's not a good human being, but he's not up there.
Yeah, like, he wasn't the worst person from the old school days, but he wasn't helping much either.
Oh, no, he was definitely more of the type at first to be just eating fucking Vince's boot.
Oh, yeah. Like, he was
hard.
He was, like, Vince's, like, go-to enforcer for a period of time there. Like, I think there was a story about somebody that was having a match, and they were worried that they weren't going to go through with the so-called, like, the scripted finish. And, like, Taker was, like, reportedly backstage, like, taping up his fist if things didn't go right to just beat the shit out of him.
Yep. I mean, the one time I can say for sure he was on the opposite side of Vince with certainty is the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah.
Because he definitely, he was on Hart's side on that one.
Yeah, I think he
At
had
least
words
a
with Vince
mediator.
afterwards. Yeah,
He did, yeah.
yeah, where he was just like, giving him like the business for like you shouldn't have done that. But he didn't like actually like do anything about it. I think he threatened to leave the WWE at the time, but that was it.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole episode on its own, honestly. Montreal Screwjob and the fallout from it.
That that was when like wrestling became something different.
Yeah,
Like
because the
that
Attitude
was,
Era came out of it.
yeah, the Attitude Era came out of it. Vince McMahon being outed as the owner of the WWE at that point.
Yeah,
Because before that, he was just like an on-screen personality, like announcer dude. He wasn't like they didn't talk about him being, the guy in charge.
right. And I think that's also when Mr. McMahon, his character started when he started doing his run through
Yeah.
WWE.
Yeah, where he became like the villain, like the ultimate heel for the entire company.
Yeah, so like it didn't matter who you were, like he was always looked worse than you. I mean, I think it was Stone Cold that went. Yeah, because that's when the bombing of the limousine and everything. Yeah,
And God, you do not get like, look, Stone Cold was amazing and top of the world, but you won't get Stone Cold to reach the level that he reached without having Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon, as his enemy at that period of time. That's what elevated the whole thing.
we need to watch his promos because he had a way of just grinding anyone on the other side of the mic of him into the ground.
Oh, dude, I know exactly where we start, too. We start when he won King of the Ring and Austin 316 became a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was, he was cutting that, like, just after he won on, like, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, like, the birth of, like, that was, like, Stone Cold becoming a whole character at that point. Because up until then, he was just, like, Steve Austin. And
right.
Stunning Steve and all that kind of stuff. And he got some, like, he developed that character, I think, in ECW. But he came into his own right there at that moment, I think.
Yeah, I think he refined it when he was going after Jericho and doing all those promos and saying what and got what started.
And people hate him to this day for it.
Yep. Like he just, I don't know. He's a different breed of promos. You don't get promos like that anymore.
Yeah. Austin's another one who like people don't give enough credit for his comedy. Because he was hilarious, too, especially when he turned heel. Like, I think half the time he was just trying to make, like, everybody else on screen with him crack up. But at the time, nobody appreciated it because they were just pissed off that he turned heel because they didn't want, like, the ultimate awesome kick-ass baby face to be a bad guy. And they were just pissed off on him.
Yes, when he still had long hair and everything.
No, this is after. This is when... like later on, towards the end of the Attitude Era, when he joined forces with Vince, and
yeah,
he became like a corporate sellout, like that period, because he was hilarious during that period. Like him and Kurt Angle were just fucking hilarious together. Those two, like the thing with like the cowboy hat, where he got like a regular size one, and then like Kurt Angle got like a little kid's one. His little tiny cowboy hat. It's fucking great. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, Walsh, I don't know if you remember any of these days at all. But
very little.
I know. I'm making like a mental list of things to actually like put in front of you to sort of like get these built into your brain to understand more of like just how the vibe was during these different eras. Because I've been like in the process of like coming back to wrestling. One of the things I've discovered is that there was a lot of love for something that completely passed me by, and that was TNA. And like in between the era of like WCW's fall and AEW becoming a thing, like TNA was the next closest competitor, and it's kind of like watching like a bad B movie from what I've gathered from it. because you've got like they spent all the money on hiring these older guys from WWE, and then they've got like a ton of like great young talent like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, the like these tag team Beer Money, like all of these guys, and some of it is amazing, but also some of it is like, okay, we've got Kevin Nash who can't move anymore, and then they bring in Hulk Hogan who also can't move anymore, and Bischoff from WCW, and they start taking creative control, and things just start getting wild and worse. And I think Vince Russo was brought in there too, and it's just like it starts off with like, oh, this is promising, and it starts building a little bit, and then there's just a huge downturn from the creative aspect where things just get bullshit crazy.
So don't give creative control to people who have suffered way too many concussions, probably.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you couple that though with Hulk Hogan's ability to just be a raging dick 24/7 to anyone that he feels is beneath him, which is everyone.
That is.
He has a history of not throwing people over when it's their turn.
That is actually very prescient to something that I want to visit with you guys some point in the very near future. It's Hulk Hogan was coming back to WWE, and they were doing a program with Shawn Michaels, and the original idea was they would do 3 matches with payoff being like at a pay-per-view or something like that, and there was going to be like a bit of like back and forth booking. Like one match, Hogan's supposed to win. Then another match, Michaels is supposed to win. Then another match, they do a deciding one. Hogan decides that's not going to work for me, brother, and they're only doing one match. Michaels gets pissed off about this, obviously, but Michaels, being the professional that is also a massive prick when he doesn't get his way, decides, we're going through this match, yeah, I'm losing, I'm going to make you look like a fool, and just oversells everything. The word I've heard repeated is octopus in a washing machine to how he reacts to every hit, every move from Hogan, and it's one of the great comedic moments of all of wrestling history, in my opinion.
Oh god, when he takes the boot and he just goes flying across the ring, it is so freaking funny. He takes the piss out of him pretty much the whole match. Yeah,
like there's a moment where he's like on the top of the turnbuckle, just like laid horizontally across it, and like Hogan's like hitting him with kicks, and he's throwing himself all the way up into the air as high as he can, and then bouncing back down on the ropes. Like it's it's a thing of beauty. Like just the sheer pettiness of Shawn Michaels cannot be topped when he's morally in the right, in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the few times where he's actually morally right.
Yeah. Well, this is after he got clean, I believe.
It is. No, you are right. This is when he took a 2-year break or something like that.
Yeah, he went out, got sober, found Jesus, reformed his ways. And, I'm not a God person, not a Jesus-y person, but more credit to him, that's what he needed to get clean and turn his life around. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and we got to see him wear an embarrassing cowboy hat for a while when he first came back.
He still wears that, I think.
He does. Yeah. He does.
I think it has something to do with his eye. Like, he wants to take away attention from the eye, so he's like, I'll wear this cowboy hat. People won't notice, maybe.
You should have just done what Mark Hamill did and just do like the weird comb over, even though you have a full head of hair.
Oh, Mark Hamill. He's another treasure.
He is a treasure. I love that man.
Forever. So that's just one of the things I want to add to like the list of multiple things I want to revisit with you guys. Like some stuff that we've missed, passed by, and like obviously I still want to do like some other revisiting of like very specific like key moments that we're absolutely sure of, that we've seen, like Undertaker throwing Mankind off the cell. The historic double turn between Bret Hart and Stone Cold in their Iron Man match. Just all of these, and obviously, the Montreal Screwjob. Absolutely, we're going to revisit that.
We need to go over Bruiser Brody.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
one
God.
I'd love to highlight because, I mean, a lot of people don't realize how dark the backstage type of stuff can really be with wrestling.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, like, older era stuff doesn't... I mean, granted, on YouTube, yeah, you might find the documentaries and such, but overall, these things don't get talked about that often.
I mean, yeah, I think one of the things that, like, brought me back into wrestling was discovering Dark Side of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that,
Yeah.
like, because now these guys are old enough and, you know, kayfabe is dead or whatever, and, like, we're past the statute of limitations in most of these cases, so they're not longer afraid to speak out. But now we're starting to get like some of like the stories from like the real behind the scenes from, you know, the dark ages and like the early days of wrestling when it was still like hush hush, secret, and like there wasn't reporting like there is now. Like there wasn't social media. Like everything was kept to the shadows and it was secret. And like now we can go back and like get like the full story on things that like were mysteries at the time.
Yeah, and, like, not to bring it back to Hulk Hogan, I think he's kind of partially to blame for that. Which is a good thing, though. I'm glad this happened. I'm not saying, you know, like, his fault, oh no. But he when he denied his steroid use and did that awful talk about how he wasn't doing steroids, and it led to more investigations, and not just government wise, but journalists going in and investigating further. It was we'll have to highlight that because that was just an awful interview.
Yeah, and like actually we can wrap that with like an entire. We should spend like an entire episode maybe on just like the steroid trials, because that ties into a lot of different things that we've talked about, like Benoit being one of them. Like that whole tragedy was, you know, at the time initially like it was combined with like drug use and steroids. And like they were sweeping under the rug the more likely culprit, which was the concussions, the CTE.
Right. Yeah, because I remember that was the steroid panic that went down.
Yeah, it was roid rage is what they were blaming it on initially.
Roid rage. Thank you. Yeah, roid rage. I remember Vince McMahon coming out and doing a whole spiel on like 60 Minutes or whatever, and he was getting grilled.
Yeah.
I remember at the time I was totally more on the side of the roid rage thing because we didn't really have the science.
No,
but seeing now what CTE really can do to the brain, it's a wonder that man was able to do anything.
Yeah,
anything.
And it's also not surprising that maybe that's had a factor in turning Kane into a massive prick.
Probably.
He took a lot of unprotected chair shots to the head.
And now his brain looks like a fucking pimento loaf.
Oh my god, pimento loaf. That's making me hungry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, moving on, I wanted to just go with something to carry us off into this last segment here, which would be like, what's the last thing that you watched just recently? Like last show, last pay-per-view, last match, like what in the past like week or two, like what's the last thing that you were sitting down and actually like pulled you in?
Well, I guess I'll go first. The match between Dallas Page and
Hangman?
Hangman, yeah. That match was insane. That was the last one I watched all the way through, completely. It's a wild match from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. The image of Hangman drinking blood is gonna stick with me for a long time.
Yeah, I'm still kind of like processing that, even like over a week out now from the last time we all sat down and had a talk. That match is something.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level.
They literally all out. They went all out.
And you know what the downside to that is, there had to be a match that followed that. Like,
I know.
I think if they could go back, they would have turned that into the main event.
I think so too. I'm assuming they didn't think this was going to be such a heavy hitter of a match overall.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that they called some audibles on this match.
Yeah, like Swerve with the staple gun.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Although Hangman coming out there with his child's finger painting, that was pre-planned at least.
That was definitely part of the original process, yes. But I don't know. I feel like they felt the crowd and were like, you know what? Let's just keep this going for a little bit longer. Let's add some stuff to this. Let's go nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Last thing I actually sat down and watched is I was catching up on the past week of shows, so I was just watching Rampage from Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And started watching a little bit of Collision.
Did you see? I guess that's another thing I watched. But Randy Orton.
Oh yeah, oh my God, Randy Orton coming back. God, does he look jacked? Capital Jacked. I have never seen that man so bulky. He was always in phenomenal shape, but now he's just like he's muscle on top of muscle now. It's strange.
Oh yeah, and leading in with those tweets and everything, with going after Rhea saying I'm back.
Oh, Daddy's home.
Daddy's home. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, Randy Orton is another one we're gonna have to spend some extensive time sitting around talking about, because he has been quietly building like a legendary career, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think any montage video of his RKOs will prove that alone. The man has gone from a laying position to a standing jumping position within like a 4-inch gap to RKO someone.
Yeah.
And perfectly timed it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people wrote him off as kind of like a nepotism wrestling in his early years, and he was probably too young, too cocky, too arrogant to really understand the industry at that time. But over the years, he finally stopped being so much of a prick. He stopped being an asshole, and he started taking it more seriously. And it, in my opinion, it's paid off, because he has become one of the all-time greats.
I think so too, personally. I think he's definitely taken charge in leading the newer generation of wrestlers in.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a lot more humbled nowadays, where he's willing to pass the ball along versus always needing to run it down to the end goal himself.
Yeah.
I remember him in the early days. I think it was near the end of the DX stuff when he came in, right? Where he started popping up in WWE.
Yeah, it was
WWF at the time.
Yeah, it was around there. It was pretty early into his career that, he came in, and I want to say it was only a year or two that he was in WWE that, he started hanging out with Triple H and Batista and Ric Flair in the stable Evolution.
Yeah, Evolution. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Evolution.
Yeah, I think that was really early in his full in his main roster career. I don't know if he spent any time in OVW, but that's something I could look into.
Yeah, most of the stuff I've watched recently, because my girlfriend loves Randy Orton. That's her favorite wrestler. Now I know, audience. But I was looking into some of the videos, and he's had a great career.
Yeah.
I honestly, you look at it where he is now versus back then, and it's very understandable why nobody really liked him back then. He was so full of himself compared to now. Now you can tell it's a shtick. That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, there was one period back then where he had an injury to his shoulder or something like that very early into his career, and he had been, okay, well, he's injured, so he's not going to be wrestling. They did something with a Randy Orton update segment where he would just show up on camera in his arm in a sling just to give an update on how he's doing, because he's I know you're all concerned about me. My arm's healing pretty good. Healing a little bit faster than what the doctors are projecting, but I'm still going to be out for a couple of weeks. I'll see you next week for another Randy Orton update type of thing.
That is awesome. That's all those live streams and stuff that wrestlers do a bunch of times now while they're driving from one place to the next.
Oh yeah. That's they made that a whole series. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like some sort of like road show or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say Bradshaw was on that for a bit, and he got
JBL?
real pissed. I think so. I don't quote me, audience. I'm not remembering fully right now. I remember a bit, like a moment where he was on camera for this, and he was like, "Turn that fucking camera off. I'm not getting paid for this."
Oh, I think that might have like Pac's last like on-screen performance for WWE too,
I think you're right.
because like he was like driving by one of the production crews while they're getting ready to leave an event, and he said, "Oh hey, you guys are filming, insert name of the show here." He goes, "Fuck that show," and drove off.
Yeah, it was Pac, Benjamin Satterley.
Yeah, I think at that
Yeah.
point he was that what they have him wrestling under the name Neville.
Neville. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And
He was
poor
like, "Turn that
bastard.
fucking shit off." More power to him, though, man. He wasn't getting paid.
Yeah, he's a
He's
guy.
under no obligation.
Yeah, he's a guy that got underutilized, and they didn't see how great he could be until it was far too late.
Yep. Yep. I mean, AEW used him pretty well for a bit.
Yeah, I think he gets screwed over from visa issues mainly.
I think so too. But it was great to see him pop over. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
It was great.
I'm trying to think of like some other stuff that happened in the past week that are worth checking out. Oh, upcoming we've got Christian and Adam Copeland on Dynamite on Wednesday in Canada. That should be good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'll be good.
Yeah, they had a heck of a in-ring promo on Wednesday. Fucking Christian's so goddamn good. Like, he's
Yeah.
so fucking good. He comes out there and he asks, Copeland to come meet him out in the ring. He's got a line of security, and he's behind them, and he's like, "Okay, we don't need the security out here, guys. You can go, you can go." And he starts going into this wonderful manipulative spiel about. He's like, "Yeah, I was on the road. I was driving. I started remembering about my mom's old Taurus that we always do road trips together, and Toby the Taurus." Stuff like that. He starts referring to him. He's like, "Yeah, you're my brother, this, that. What would your dad want? What would your mom want? I know you just lost her." And then, he tries, second Copeland's back is turned. He starts getting ready to smack him with the belt. Copeland turns around, hits him right in the nuts, and calls him a dumbass. He's like, "You really think that would work on me?" And he walks away with, telling him to go fuck himself.
Yep.
Which the censors didn't catch in time. So that was a great moment for TV.
Oh, I gotta love it. I love that. I love that dynamic that's going on now. It's so good.
Yeah, those two are two like legends walking among us right now.
Seriously, wasn't it? Copeland that started the "You Suck" chant for Kurt Angle?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So. That's still stuck to this day.
Yeah, I mean, it took them a long time to embrace it, and it's still fun to go back and watch some of the older stuff where they try to censor it out from the crowd chanting.
No, that's not doable.
No, it's not.
It makes it even worse. It makes it even worse.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's
Oh.
basically like when I enhance the audio on our GM mode videos, where it's like still not good, but like you try.
Yeah. Hey, we're learning. We're figuring things out. We're getting better.
Oh no, it's great. No, it's honestly, it's great going back to them and seeing some of those now as I'm editing the other stuff we do, because like our audio is a lot better now. We have hiccups, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but our audio is a lot better now, especially now that I moved my mic to the other side for the podcast. I don't sound like I'm walking down an empty hallway. But yeah, it's fun to go back and hear some of that, because it's like I'm blown out of proportion. You're low. There's no middle ground that I can find that makes us both sound good, and you just kind of have to accept your losses.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, well, people are just gonna unfortunately give a shit for it, but we deserve it.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah. God. One last thing before we like fully get into the breakout here. I gotta talk a little bit about our man, our chick magnet punk, little CM Punk, little Phil Brooks, little Pepsi man.
A little Pepsi boy.
he was on Raw on Monday, and they were touting it up like the whole show. And the report is like his segment got cut down for time because something ran over. So he had like a 5-minute promo to close out the show, if that. They did like the cardinal sin with CM Punk, in my opinion. He was just boring.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's like NDAs and stuff in place from his contract at AEW, but it was just like the most generic, like white meat, like mic work I've ever seen from the guy. Except for the one line where as the show's going off the air, he pulls the mic away from his face and he just says, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money."
Yeah, the Razor Ramon line.
Yeah.
The Scott Hall line. Yeah. So I've been kind of thinking about that line a little bit, and I think that's why the promo was so generic, because he's letting you know, like, this isn't me. I have to do this for the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I go to my job.
Exactly. Like, Derek, I think you're right on target with that. Like, I think this is going to be like his character. Like, it's going to be sort of like the two-faced, like, good guy, bad guy routine of, like, he's going to be putting on, like, the fake airs of, like, oh, no, I'm a hero. I'm here to, do good things. And also, like, occasionally, like, he's going to let that mask slip on camera for him to be like, oh, no, I'm just here to get fucking paid. Fuck all you people. I'm actually a villain type of thing.
Yeah, so when we were talking last time, where I brought up that he's just going to play into the idea that he's going to be there for a short time, get pissed, and walk off, I think this leads into it.
Look, that's one direction they can go. Because, honestly, I think he's of, like, two minds right now. Like, I think there is the possibility that he is going to be on his utmost best behavior out of spite to everyone at AEW.
Yes, yeah.
It's going to be like he wants like people to think that like no, he wasn't the problem at all. Like it was a problem with the company itself. Whereas, right now people kind of believe, well, okay, well, he was just an explosive personality.
Yeah, I think that doesn't help with the fact that Tony Khan was able to kind of get out ahead pretty quickly and seem pretty level-headed in front of the camera, quicker than Punk.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, as much as people are going to blame Punk, and as much as anyone can, because he holds a lot of personal responsibility for how things went down, at the end of the day, a lot of this falls on Tony, in my opinion, because he wasn't, like, putting in the effort to actually, like, manage these people and, like, get them to, work out their differences and be able to work together.
Right. I think the idea of it already becoming like WWE levels so fast over the past, was it like 5-6 years now?
4
years, even shorter then. So I think it sells my point even more. They rose really quickly, and I think he lost sight of the details.
Yeah, he's stretched too thin. Like, there's only so much one guy can do. He needs an infrastructure. He needs a support system in order to run a company.
Yep. Like, and AEW is like my baby. I love it to death because it really is what ignited my love of wrestling again. But that doesn't mean it can't fail still.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to Punk, they fell short.
They fell short, and they fell, like, pretty hard from that.
Yeah.
And it, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's, not going to be good for them as far as, like, ticket sales and ratings and him being a draw. But with the way the current company is set up, I don't think that's an environment that can support CM Punk.
I don't think so either. I think that he needs to be able to have more free reign in the matches and the rivalries and stuff that he would like to have set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those opinions should be listened to a little bit more. And they probably are right now at WWE.
But at the same time, he needs like a short leash.
He does, yes. I agree. He does still need a leash on him, but the man knows wrestling. He knows what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what he's capable of. And I just feel like, yeah, keep him under control, but listen to him still.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic mind for the business. He knows how to do damn near everything. But at the same time, he's got an ego to match it.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. The ego is what probably gets in the way with a lot of this, but I think it's a butting of egos. I think Tony has just as much of an ego. He just hides it from the camera more often.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, I feel like Tony Khan doesn't have, like, the managing style that's most conducive to some of the bigger egos that you get with bigger star wrestlers. Like,
yeah.
He's too much of, like, your best friend kind of manager who doesn't know how to be a disciplinarian.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Tony, if for some reason you ever watch this episode, my brother, this idea, it's yours. You can have it. But you have to frickin' do it, okay? You need to do a knockoff of the Mr. McMahon and do your heel streak and just be pissed at every single wrestler. Go out there and screw them over on their matches. Call them early. Say, nope, disqualified. Just go nuts for a little bit. Be the bad guy.
See, that's the thing, though. I don't know if he has it in him, because he's, like, been on record that he does not want to be, like, an on-screen personality.
I think it would help the business more.
Yeah, at the same time, it's the wrestling business. It's built on lies. Like, everybody in wrestling lies constantly.
That's kind of the job.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, no, if you ever watch this and you want to do it, just take the idea, man. Don't worry. Just one time, just give me credit. Say this bald guy said I should do this, so I listened. You don't even have to say my name.
We'll know.
We'll know.
Yeah.
He's never going to watch this, but you never know.
He never has the time. Are you kidding me?
Seriously. He's too busy flying around.
Yeah, he's got 5 hours of TV to book a week on top of, I think 6 or 7 pay-per-views a year. He's still got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They still have the football team was at Fulham.
Uh-huh. AEW After Dark, don't forget that. The whole YouTube series.
No, that's gone. That's gone. They got rid of Dark and Dark Elevation.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah, that you haven't been able to because it hasn't been on. But Ring of Honor.
All right.
Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much of that they're putting out still.
There was something recently that popped up. I didn't watch it yet, but there was a whole Ring of Honor like belt thing that went on, it seemed.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff happening there. I got to catch up on it. I'm way behind on Ring of Honor, just because like I think it's its own. It doesn't have like any sort of TV deal or anything that right now. It's on, It's got its own service on their website. I think it's Honor Club.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll be the 9th person out of the 8 people that already subscribe to it.
And then I'll just watch it on here through you.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're connecting people through wrestling.
Oh, adorable.
Yeah. To close this out, this might become a recurring thing, but I want to close this out with one of Hulk Hogan's lies.
So many to choose from.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is you should ask Walsh this and ask him if it's a lie or a truth.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Well, I kind of already know.
Oh, I have a feeling there's some truth that's shown there too, not just the lies.
Okay.
Like what the actual true one is.
No. Here, this is a good one. This is a good one on whether or not you can determine if this is a truth or a lie. This is back in the 80s, WrestleMania 2. The story is after WrestleMania 2, Hulk Hogan went partying with John Belushi and apparently partied too hard for Belushi. So he had to leave simply because he couldn't keep up with Hogan and his drinking. Now, WrestleMania 2 took place in 1986.
Oh, this has to be a lie, right?
Yeah, this is totally a lie.
Now, is it a lie because that didn't happen, or what year did John Belushi die?
Belushi died in 1982.
Yeah.
Yep, I was just getting. Yep. I was waiting for it.
Like, I'm pretty sure he died before I was born. So yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. Wait, was it the other Belushi?
It could be. It could have been Jim.
That story kind of makes sense then, but it's like, all right, why'd you go partying with Jim Belushi?
I mean,
like I don't see Belushi wanting to hang out with him.
I don't see people wanting to hang out.
I can see them end up being at a party together. Sure,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't see him going around and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I would not put it above Vince to pay a bunch of celebrities to show up to a party after WrestleMania.
Oh,
True.
Just for the publicity of it, yeah. That would
Yeah.
make a lot of sense.
I mean, the
Spend
first...
just as much on that as
Yeah.
the whole event.
I mean, a big part of those early WrestleManias were the celebrity factor. Like, you had Cyndi Lauper, you had Mr. T, Liberace. Like, he was paying people to, for that mainstream appeal to sell tickets.
Yep, just get that big name in there.
Yep. Oh, I have one. If I don't even have to read to know this one.
Okay.
Okay. Is this a lie, Walsh? Did Andre the Giant die just a few days after being body slammed by Hulk Hogan?
No.
No, he did not. No, it was like 6 fucking years later. Hulk Hogan likes to say that it was like 3 or 4 days after he body slammed him.
Yeah.
And not only that. Oh, here's another one. When they faced off the very first time, did Andre the Giant weigh 800 pounds?
I don't think he ever did.
No, he did not. No. Sometimes he got billed at 500. That's probably a lie, too. He was probably like 400 on the high end.
I don't know. He was very tall.
He was.
He was a very tall dude, but he was a lot of muscle and stuff. So, like, he maybe weighed like 410 or something, but, like, he was no 500 pounds.
Yeah.
He was no 800 pounds.
I'm pretty sure he still claims that he was the only person to body slam Andre the Giant, too.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh, yeah.
how much did
That's the
Andre
other
Giant
thing.
help with that shit.
His on-screen body slam. Was that the only time he body slammed him up to that point?
I'm going with yes.
No. They practiced.
I'm pretty sure they
What?
practiced at a house show.
They did.
No.
They did.
No,
Yeah,
that
in
was
front
just
of a
done out
crowd.
anger.
Uh-huh. No, there was a crowd. Yeah, there was a crowd.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, Andre the Giant was about 520 pounds.
Okay, maybe I was wrong on that, but he was no 800 at least.
Yeah, he was
Because
definitely...
he was billed it. Because when Hulk Hogan
Another
brings it
large
up, he
person.
says he's 800 pounds.
Oh, man. Yeah, 7'4". That's a big boy.
It's a big boy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was definitely a giant.
Hence the name.
Oh, small world.
Yeah. And on that note, we're going to call it here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on your night off. I'm Alex. This has been Walsh and Derek. Please remember, subscribe. We're on everything. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on social media like Instagram, TikTok, maybe not Twitter, but we're there anyway, at Night Off Pod.
Yeah. Check us out on your next
Many
night off.
places, all the buttons.
Yeah. Remember, like, comment, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. And have a good one. We'll see you on your next night off.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.